It is the appointed hour, and we will call to order the salary board of the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners and call the salary board. Desiree?
Commissioner Nieder.
I am here.
Commissioner Fashi.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger. Controller Whitcomb.
Here.
All right, this is the portion of the agenda where we open it up for public comment on items during our salary board meeting. And I don't believe there's anyone in the audience wishing to make public comment on that. Desiree, is there anyone online?
No requests at this time.
No requests at this time. Okay, thank you. We'll roll into the approval of the meeting minutes from April 24th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 24th.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next up is the approval of the salary board actions.
I'll make a motion to approve the salary board actions except for the sheriff's office.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 And the sheriff.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the salary board action as discussed last week.
Second the motion.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the salary board at this time? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion for an
I'll make a
adjournment.
motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned from the salary board. We'll go into the Board of Commissioners meeting and begin with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With a roll call, please, Desiree.
Commissioner Nieder.
I am here.
Commissioner Fashi.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Now we'll open it up for any other public comment that anyone may like to make. If you are online and wish to do so, please use the raise your hand feature. Is there anyone indicating they would like to make public comment?
No requests at this time.
All right, we will go on, and that takes us to the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. The consent agenda is a list of routine items that do not appear to be controversial in nature and which seem to not require any additional discussion. If discussion is desired on any agenda item, which would be agenda items 4 through 10 in the consent agenda, now would be the time to make that request. Hearing none, seeing none, Commissioners, I would request approval of the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
That takes us then to the regular agenda, which is a list of non-routine items that will be discussed and may be acted upon individually. And we'll start with agenda item 11, which is discussion and approval of a letter of support regarding adding child care workers and preschool teachers to the South Central Pennsylvania Investment Board's high priority occupations list. And oh dear. So I will ask for Christy Rangillian. I hope I said that correctly. Was I close?
Yes, that was exactly right. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness, I get a star today. I'm so sorry for not preparing in advance. I'm glad I got your name right. But the executive director with the Community Connections for Children, who's going to share some information about the letter of support request.
Good morning, and thank you everyone for giving me just a couple of moments on your agenda today. As mentioned, my name is Christy Rangillian. I'm the executive director for Community Connections for Children, and we serve as the Early Learning Resource Center for 7 counties across South Central Pennsylvania, including Cumberland County, with an office in Lemoyne. And I'm here today to talk about the importance of the early childhood education and childcare workforce. And I realize that I am probably preaching to the choir, but you know that this workforce is the workforce that all others are dependent upon, and they enable our businesses to function, people to remain or return to the workforce and be productive taxpayer contributors to society. And a recent study here in Pennsylvania showed that we have a $6.6 billion with a B dollar impact on our local economies and the state economy due to the shortage and the crisis in the child care workforce. In Cumberland County, a recent survey showed that we have about 70 vacancies in our early childhood education workforce, that if they were filled, we could serve another roughly 700 children. Of the programs that are open in Cumberland County, 81% reported teacher shortages, 95% report having trouble recruiting teachers, and 67% challenges retaining teachers. And this impacts not only families that rely on assistance to help them pay for childcare, which of course they have to be working, but this impacts all families. And a recent example of that was a conversation I had with a vice president at a major financial institution right there in South Central Pennsylvania with branches in Cumberland County. And this vice president was experiencing what we refer to as a rolling blackout. That due to the childcare teaching crisis, their center, for example, was closing the toddler classroom on Tuesdays or the preschool classroom on Wednesdays and shipping these teachers around. Of course, that had an impact on her ability to do her job. It wasn't that she couldn't pay for childcare, it's that if there isn't a teacher, there's no place for your child to go. Obviously, unlike a fast food restaurant where somebody can do burgers and fries, if you don't have a teacher, you cannot serve children. And in Cumberland County, just this year, we unfortunately have had 8 programs close due to the teacher crisis. So one of the things that Community Connections for Children has been doing is really partnering with institutions of higher ed. We are working closely with OCTEL, the Office of Child Development and Early Learning. There are public dollars to help support the workforce in earning their CDA credential, which is the introductory credential, and the associate's and bachelor's degree. We have started an apprenticeship program in York County that we are working to have it become a registered apprenticeship program through private dollars in our ECHO initiative. And one of the components of this work and moving forward is to get the child care, preschool, early childhood education workforce on the high priority occupations list. This would help open up access to other supports, financial resources, other resources to encourage and promote this workforce. We have been working with the vocational schools, with HAC, with public high schools to encourage this as a profession. It is worth noting, I believe, that on the high priority list already are elementary school teachers, middle school teachers, secondary teachers, education and guidance counselors, community and social service workers, people who are on school buses as monitors, so kind of those tangential roles and educators. So I don't want to take up any more of your time on the agenda. We would appreciate this letter of support in helping us get this designation. And of course, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you, Christy. Any
No,
questions?
thank you, Christy. That was very comprehensive and the numbers are staggering. So I appreciate you walking us through all of that. We are aware of it. It is an issue. And I'll entertain a motion to support. I will move to approve. It's moved. Is there a second?
Second for discussion purposes, but I do have questions.
Okay.
Okay, Chrissy, thank you for being here and giving us a lot of this information. Some of it's new, some of it we're familiar with. It sounds like you're doing a lot of the right things to move that forward. I have a question for you though, which for the last number of terms, I've been the county's rep to the Workforce Investment Board. And when I saw this, I was a bit surprised. I actually reached out to Jesse McCree, who's the director, the executive director there for the regional WIB. And I asked him, I said, Jesse, my understanding has always been that getting added to the list is there's a formal process, it's data driven, and there are ways to be recognized based on the real numbers. As you've stated, if those numbers make that compelling case, there's a proper way to get on that list. And Jesse was gracious enough to call me last night. It was kind of short notice. He called me while I was grilling hamburgers with his kids, but he wanted to address the issue and did confirm for me that there is a way to do this. They are very aware of issues in that industry, but they are not aware of any requests coming to them for this. So I'm curious if you've made this effort before, but more, I guess my question is, are you aware of what the process is? Because lobbying is not real, which is what this is not the way to accomplish that per se.
Yes, thank you for your question. We are in the process of submitting a formal application. We have been working on that and speaking with various individuals on that process. What we're here today to request is a letter of support for our application. So we are submitting the application through the formal process and channels. And part of the application process is to secure letters of support. So for example, as I mentioned, we serve seven counties. They are Dauphin, Cumberland, Perry, Lebanon, York, Adams, and Lancaster. And we are in the process of asking for letters of support from all of those counties for our application to get this designation.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. I think in light of that, we may need to rework the letter. So I'm going to ask for it to be tabled so that we can express support in the general sense, but not the way it's worded now. It sounds as if the commissioner is saying, we demand you add this to the list. And that's not the methodology that's in place, as you're aware. So I think, if the letter is slightly reworked to be a little less advocacy for the decision and a little more advocacy for fair consideration, that it would be a much more appropriate letter.
Yes, thank you. That makes sense. I think the letter was just a draft, and certainly, all of you obviously can tweak the letter so that it aligns with what you feel is appropriate. But really what we're asking for is a letter of support for the application.
Thank you. That's very, very helpful.
It says we want to express our support in adding the following occupations. It says expressing our support. I'm fine moving it forward. I would not have, I appreciate all of the commentary that you've given this morning, Christy, the discussion that you've had about this application, the fact that you reached out about this at least a week ago, if not more, and I'm prepared to move forward.
I don't have any objections with the letter. I think our support of adding these occupations, we're nearing a crisis mode on education and as it relates to childcare.
Let me offer something, if I may. Now, Jesse McCready has offered to actually come here and speak several times. And since they just released their annual report of the Workforce Investment Board, I think it might be worthwhile for us to invite Jesse to come in and we can discuss this issue with him and what the process is. There's a process in place for a good reason. So this letter is bypassing that process, as it's written. So I think it would be helpful if Jesse came in. He could probably do it on very short notice, just to provide us with some perspective on that process as well as his organization. And it gives us the chance to make the case to him on what we see and the very specific numbers, perhaps for Cumberland County to him, because they are always interested in hearing from us in regards to what industries we see. But again, we don't crunch the data. We're not the decision makers on it. They are, but we could certainly use that as an opportunity to present your case to him so that they can put that into and we address through the proper process. Is there a time frame that you're operating on in this?
Yes, Commissioner, we are planning to, had planned to submit our application in the next week or two as we're working through this. It's our understanding of the process that the process requires and encourages you to have letters of support for your application, which again is what we're seeking. We are not at all seeking to bypass or usurp the formal process. We are following the process to our understanding of it, and doing, exactly as directed to secure letters of support for our application.
Right. I think you understand the process. I'm not sure that the county's effort here fully understood the process. So
Yeah, I believe that we want to be supportive of the application. And while we can potentially modify this letter, it's my intention, and I believe it came forward to be supportive of your application. It sounds like this is kind of a bureaucratic system that you're working through. And I support advancing this. So if we want to take a motion.
but it's not a
We have a
bureaucratic
motion, okay.
process. It's a rigorous data-driven process.
We have a
Because
motion in a second.
She's provided the data, and this argument over something that is we're supporting them going through the exact process that you're outlining. I'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
no.
All right. We'll move on.
Okay.
Next up.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Thank you so much, Christy. That takes us then to agenda item 12. We have Greg Igler here to discuss I'm just going to stop talking and Greg Igler instead of trying to present the topic.
Good morning. The Sheriff's Office and the Domestic Relations Office were jointly looking for approval to seek bids for our items. We previously had capital projects which were approved. So this is just to continue the process to get bids to purchase those firearms.
Thank you.
I would move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. And I would just like to do a shout out that, our Domestic Relations Office, our Sheriff's Office knew that they were both purchasing weapons and have joined together to get an economy of scale. And I just want to highlight that. So really, really nice joint effort. Okay, so that then takes us to agenda item 13. We have Denny Lebo here to discuss a contract addendum with Paperless Solutions. Hi, Denny.
Hi. That addendum is for a PDF framework enhancement to our document imaging system. As most of you know, all criminal activity starts in magistrate district judge offices, and they have always, by rule, had to send us their paperwork whenever they forward it to the court, waive it to the court in paper. And that rule has changed recently, and they can now send it to us electronically, which they're going to do in a PDF format, which cannot be edited on its own. And this enhancement will allow us to do that. It's important because there's documents in it. They're all public documents unless there's limited access reasons because of charges that were not had guilty pleas. You probably heard of limited access or limited access. I have to go to the words off the top of my head. But anyway, which would require us, if this requested by the public, for us to go in and redact anything that has to do with the charges that were not found guilty. We also have the partial expungements that's now become a thing. And not only do we need to be able to do that temporarily, but the public, we actually also have to be able to do that for charges for expungements to be eliminated. So this system will allow us to do that to these PDF documents.
Any questions for Denny?
And the important thing is that there's no being used. This is all paid for by our automation fund, which is a statutory amount, is paid by, dependents that are found guilty, $5 for each.
Yes, thank you. I was just gonna point that out. So you beat me to that punch. Thank you, Denny.
So I would move to approve.
So second, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Denny. Thank you, Commissioner. That takes us to agenda item 14, and we have Brooke Weary joining us online to discuss a contract with Western Pennsylvania Conservancy. Morning, Brooke.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for having me today. You may recall last fall, I attended a commissioners meeting for approval to implement the Mountain Creek Stream Restoration Project on the county's property along Lakeside Drive in Mount Holly Springs. I did apply for CAP funding to implement this project, but unfortunately, the grant we received was not as large as we had hoped, and other projects became a priority. However, the Conservation District Board of Directors felt that it was a necessary project to pursue. So I received approval from my board to allocate $50,337 of the district's Marcellus Shale funds to this project. This funding is replenished annually and is intended for water quality projects. The contract I am seeking approval for today is between the Conservation District and Western Pennsylvania Conservancy, or WPC for short. WPC will administer the project by completing the permitting, bidding, ordering materials, and making payment to the contractor on the district's behalf. The district will reimburse WPC up to $50,337 for costs associated with the project, and WPC will require payment of up to $2,397 for the services they provide, and I have already tied that figure into the total contract amount. Commissioners, I ask that you approve this contract between the Conservation District and Western Pennsylvania Conservancy to fund and administer the Mountain Creek Stream Restoration Project.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you.
I would move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
it's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much, Brooke.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Okay, that takes us to the next agenda item, which is discussion and approval of the Celebrate Incorporated contract. We've got Eric Radovich joining us online to discuss.
Good morning, commissioners. The contract before you is for Celebrate Corporation for $45,400. Celebrate is one of the major software components we use in the computer forensic laboratory to analyze mobile devices, and it's a subscription for 1 year.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, commissioners.
That takes us to agenda item 16. We have Adrienne Bond joining us in the room to discuss a contract with Carlo Borough.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning. So this is a contract to purchase parking passes for the Carlisle Borough Parking Garage on Pomfret Street. The primary source of this purchase will be from our VOCA grant that was started in October. We ran out about a month ago, so we've been in crunch time. We had to go through the borough's process of getting it before their board. And now I'm here today requesting approval to purchase $1,800 worth of parking passes. The borough charges us $3 a pass. The daily rate is $6, so they do give us about a half a rate. So, and it's very beneficial to victims and witnesses that are coming in to meet with us, and they don't have to worry about finding parking. So we've been missing them the last month. So that's what I'm here for today.
Okay, thank you, Adrienne. Any questions of Adrienne? Or?
No, and I move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Your day and happy birthday.
Okay, that takes us to agenda item 17. And we have Holly Sherman joining us online to discuss a contract addendum for human resources. Hi, Holly.
Good morning. The contract we have with Interstate Tax Service is for the services they provide on coordinating our unemployment compensation claims. They go back and forth between the referees on scheduling the hearings, and then they also provide representation to us in those hearings to include preparing our witnesses prior to the hearings. The last increase to the contract was in 2022, and this is just a slight increase effective July 1 with an annual increase of $264 for those services.
Thank you, Holly.
I would move to approve.
Second.
It's
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
That takes us then to agenda item 18, and we have Mark Evans joining us online to discuss contracts for MHIDD.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, everyone. I have three contracts to present today. All amendments are needed due to additional services provided in our state-funded contracts. The first is for early intervention services, pediatric therapy specialists of South Central PA, an increase of $6,622 to take the contract total to $75,776. The next two amendments are for IDD services. The first, Alliance for Nonprofit Resources. They are a provider who does certified investigations for our office, increase of $4,600 to bring their contract total to $17,600. The last is for Riverside Associates. They do behavioral support and psychological evaluations for our office. This would be an increase of $2,420 to bring their contract total to $14,420. Thank you.
Any questions of Mark?
Don't have any, and I will move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, commissioners. Okay, that takes us to the next agenda item, which is discussion and approval of grants and contracts for liquid fuels finance. And we have Elizabeth Grant joining us online to discuss.
Good morning, commissioners. So we have three agenda items relating to our bridge program. The first two items are updated reimbursement agreements for the municipally owned four condition bridge bundle. As you know, the county is leading these projects on behalf of our municipal partners. The increases you see are due to scope of work additions that were required by PennDOT after the scoping field reviews for all of these projects were completed. Funding for these increases is 80% federal, 15% state, and 5% local, of which the local share is split 90% by the county and 10% of municipalities through improved cost sharing agreement. So the first three bridges there are include bridges in Silver Spring, South Middleton, and Lower Frankfort townships. And that would be an addendum of $660,900 for those bridges. The next agenda item is the an increase of $282,150 for the Corey Bridge, which is in Cook Township. And then I can cover the third item as well. Now that is a new agreement with South Middleton Township for another small bridge project for $200,000.
Questions on the first agenda item there for the contracts or grants for liquid fuels finance?
I do not have any. I do not. Elizabeth, it just sounds like I mean, the communication is a little bit challenging to hear, but the way the payments are structured, this sounds like a huge benefit to the townships and municipalities that you're helping. So they are providing some, support, financial support, but we're really bringing to the table a lot of other resources for them to get these bridges done. So I know you went through the breakdown, 80% federal, 15% state, but can you, it was 10% municipality or?
Sorry, 5% local share, and the local share split between the county at 90% and the municipality at 10%. And the county's local share is covered by a $5 registration fee.
Registration fee, okay. Very good, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. I have no other questions related.
I will move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, commissioners. I'm going to hold off thanking Elizabeth because she is going to be discussing and seeking approval of contracts for planning before she's done with us today. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Susie. Yeah, so we have two contracts for your consideration this morning. Both of these are funded through Department of Environmental Protection's Countywide Action Program. The first project is the East Pennsboro Municipal Authority. We are seeking to award $365,000 for the Enola Stream Restoration Project, Enola Run Stream Restoration. It will restore 4,655 linear feet of stream bank, which is primarily located in East Pennsboro School District property. The restoration will reconnect the floodplain, will include riparian buffer plantings, enhanced wetland, and it will implement a new 9.5 acres of riparian buffer, and also include live stake plantings and additional erosion control measures. The second project is for the Western PA Conservancy for $42,000 for the Middle Spring Creek stream restoration at Branch Creek Prisons Park. This project will reduce stream bank erosion as well through installation of fish habitat structures on 750 linear feet of bank. This project is being done in coordination with a planned greenway trail that is being implemented by Cumberland Valley.
Elizabeth.
I do not have anyone else?
And I move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you, commissioners. That takes us then to agenda item 21, and we have Stephanie Failer here to discuss a contract for the sheriff's office.
Good morning, commissioners. I'm here for the Lexipol contract. This contract is a continuation from the past 9 years. The Lexipol is our policy and procedures management system. This contract has had an increase of $992.14 from last year. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't, and I know how valuable this is. I move to approve.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephanie, thank you, commissioners. That takes us to agenda item 22, and we have Charlie Hall joining us online to discuss a capital project request for the coroner's office.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for adding this to your busy agenda. This project is for the purchase of what's called the Dual 77 laser investigative light. The intent of this is to replace our existing alternate light source, which is approximately 15 years old and using outdated technology. This unit is much more compact and more efficient to use, which will make it easier to use on scenes and in the autopsy room. What it does, it shows us evidence in trauma on bodies that we can't see with the naked eye. And it'll be particularly valuable in baby deaths, homicides, and suicides. The intent is to purchase this with my Act 122 funds, so there's no impact on taxpayers or the general fund.
Any questions?
No, thank you, Charlie. I don't want to ask you questions about this. No offense, but thank you.
Charlie, the Act 122
Okay.
funds, could you just briefly, in a sentence or two, tell us what those are?
Yeah, it's money we get from death certificates that are issued in Cumberland County every year. We average approximately 22 to 28,000 a year from the state. And right now we have plenty of funds in that fund right now to pay for this light. So.
Thank you, and I move to approve.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thank you,
Charlie. Okay, so that takes us to agenda item 23, which is a motion to take discussion and possible motion to select a firm to work with Cumberland County to prepare a strategic plan for 2026 and to authorize Kirk Stoner and Keith Brenneman to negotiate a contract for commissioner review and approval off the table.
So moved.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No.
Did you say no?
Gary's opposed to taking it off the table.
So that would take us then to agenda item 24, which is discussion and possible motion. I am not going to read that statement again. We just heard it. I would just say that, commissioners, there was a team of county employees who provided a wealth of information to you. And I believe you have what you need in order to have a discussion, but I'll leave the rest of the agenda item up to you.
So I would say that having gone through a series of interviews with 3 firms, having read additional information from those firms, I am prepared to make a motion choosing a firm if the board would be okay with that.
I would support that.
Okay. So I would move to select Barry Dunn to work with Cumberland County to prepare a strategic plan for 2026 and to authorize Kirk Stoner and Keith Brenneman to negotiate a contract for commissioner review and approval.
I'll second that motion. It's moved and seconded. Would there like to be any discussion at this time?
I guess I'm just going to reiterate what I had shared with the board a couple of weeks ago. I think probably the strongest reason to hold off on this for a bit is the federal funding mess. The majority of our funds do come down from the federal government, even the state dollars. We don't know if those dollars are going to be there. To me, it's very difficult to make what's supposed to be a long-range plan when this whole system has been turned essentially upside down, and our ability to even consider funding this is highly in question. So that's, I think that's the most pressing reason. I will say, I hear what was said here about the proposals. I looked at all the proposals. I'd like to have seen more of the proposals. I think the proposals that we got were, so they're all fine firms, but we're asking for a pretty significant ask here. And there are very high expectations for this undertaking. So the proposals were, in my opinion, vague, somewhat cookie cutter, to the point that we had to go back to them and get additional information after having received them. I'm not sure that information really answered my questions. And I had also expressed I was concerned that our evaluation process was, we had no scoring document. There was no discussion allowed. There was no information provided to us on what to specifically hone in on. And when the proposals are that vague, that can be really an impediment to a good decision there. So, we have to keep in mind, this is going to be $150,000 to $200,000 of taxpayer money.
That's not accurate.
Well, that's the numbers we've been given. In fact,
That is not.
One of these proposals came back and said they're going to have to add $48,000 to give us what we said we wanted, but we didn't apparently say it very clearly. So, but the numbers are in that range. Some of it's our money, some of it's a state grant. By the way, taxpayers are funding both of those. So my point being, it's an expensive initiative. We're hinging a lot supposedly on it. And probably the biggest, there's in addition to the direct cost, there's going to be the indirect cost. Let's face it, there's going to be a lot of staff time involved. So, but the biggest cost is going to be if we don't use this opportunity to its greatest possibility. We are long overdue for an update on it. The previous plan has been expired for 10 years and needs updated.
17.
So it was for 2005 through 2015. So so clearly there's a need for it, but there's a need to do it rigorously and objectively and to make sure that we're making the most of the opportunity. So I have a problem with moving this forward right now.
So, and I'll just say, brace yourself. This is going to be long.
I'm not here to debate it. I'm telling you where I am.
But I think
That's why
that
we
people,
do this. That's why we motion in second and then we have conversation.
yeah, I think that the people deserve a right to know the process, because once again, we spend so much time and energy advancing something to get to a point where you say do nothing.
Do nothing.
Well, you're saying, no, not now. Well, you know what, Gary, it's been 20 years of kicking the can.
So if you will all indulge me, this process started really in 2024 when we started to do a review of the departments. And that was a newer thing for this board. We started to look at what programs they were delivering and how they were delivering them, which led to an analysis then of us reviewing our strategic plan. The strategic plan has not updated since 2008. It's over 15 years. And it's not an accurate reflection of how we're spending our money. And so there's been a big disconnect. The plan that you referenced had a balanced scorecard, which was never actually implemented. There was no scorecard. Well, it was never adjusted since what, 2015? So I'll give you 10 years. But at the core of all of this, we need to plan because the county has a structurally deficient budget. Our expenses are outpacing our revenues. And Dana, I only look back to 2017. I noticed it was happening in 2018, 2019. It's structurally deficient. So how do you solve these problems? We have gotten it through 2024 to a balanced budget, but you have to go in, look at everything that you're doing, do an assessment of that. And that's what we're proposing to do here. Quite frankly, I don't like to use the term Doge, but we are looking into every dollar. And this deeper dive, we then met with DCD to say, DCD, I know you go in when counties are in distress. We're not in distress. We just want to get better. They supported that. We will only advance this if we receive a grant for half of this expense. And the RFP process was rigorous. We established a team of people that we entrust. They're some of our highest performing, highest responsible folks that run groups that run this county to do the vetting. We started with an RFP, they formed the RFP, they asked for feedback. Commissioner Fasci and I provided edits to that RFP. You provided criticism, Gary, when they offered to meet with you for edits to meet your expectation, you could not be bothered.
I've offered input all through it because I've written these things myself.
Okay, Gary, you had your opportunity to talk.
Okay, good.
So, well, good. I'm glad you're entertained. So there's an RFP, we put it out, you vote not to, it's too comprehensive, we're not going to get any takers. We got 20 takers. They went through a rigorous RFP process of educating the people that wanted to bid. I think Stacy, did you start with like 40 people on a call or asking questions? Had 20 applications, which you then narrowed down to 10. So they present that, and they did establish, that group established a rigorous process. They scored, they reviewed, and our goal was not to reinvent that wheel. They presented us with 3 firms, any one of which could perform this work and do the job. Yes, we had additional questions because one went deeper into the financial analysis than another. But that's what we were getting to. And quite frankly, the response did answer my questions. So we now have what I will say is closer comparison, apples to apples. This team has said, we'll take any 3, but we want you to meet with them and see so that you know the expectations that they're going to have of the board. They're all getting to the same result, but they do it in a little bit of a different way. And that was what we were to be discussing, and we did through our process. And now it gets us to this vote. And again, it comes down to taking action. We cannot wait and not plan for the next 10 years with immediately assessing where we are now. So I fully support advancing this. Commissioner Fasci, is there anything you wanted to add that I may have neglected to address? not surprised by what is going on here. I mean, I've sat here now, this is my 6th year sitting in this chair, listening to a lot of conversation from Commissioner Eichelberger about he doesn't like the process was tainted, he used to do this, he knows how to do things. And so I'm not surprised that that this is being met with opposition on his part. And quite frankly, that's what he can do. I mean, he can oppose everything that he possibly wants to. But the point being, we have to plan to move forward. And this county has lacked planning for 24, 25 years. And I look at this county and I look at the volume of growth that we've had and that we are projected to have into 2050. And if we don't start getting ahead of what is happening, we are going to be woefully lost. And we're watching those things happen right now in this county. We've done some really excellent capital projects, and we have really good people that work here that have assisted in making sure that the responsible financing is in place for those capital projects, that they know how to get them done, that they know how to move them forward. But you can't sit on things for 20 years. You just can't. It's not how we move forward. And as to the current federal administration, putting your head in the sand and ignoring that the shit is hitting the fan there is not good. We're prepared to deal with it, or we're not prepared to deal with it. But to be like, well, we don't know what's going to happen with the federal administration, so we should do nothing, is a fool's errand. That is a fool's errand. You gotta know, you gotta anticipate. Is it A, is it B, is it C, is it D? Do I need to pivot? And we have no ability to do that based on this ancient strategic plan that we have.
And Jean, where I see this deep dive, even in our cursory departmental review meetings, quite frankly, I know this board was surprised by some of the things that we learned through that process. We were surprised at some of the services. So I believe that there are some services that maybe are no longer needed. There are some services that maybe we need to do, but we don't have revenue streams for. There are some services that we may need to look to try and get funding for through grants. There are some that we need to just fund because they need to be done in order to keep people out of our prison. So we need to dig deeply on each of these, on all of our departments, to see what's happening, what's been mission creep, which we have seen, and what is critical to move forward. The only way you can do that is by having someone assist with an exterior view to come in and that has the training, specific training in government, which all of the firms did, to help us identify our funding priorities. I'd say that's more critical now than ever. And the other thing that I'm very encouraged about this is it's going to engage with the community for them to opine with what they believe some of the priorities should be for this board moving forward. So I'm in full support of it, advancing this, because sitting and doing nothing and blaming and pointing is not very helpful. So I'll call the question. It's been a motion on the table to support, to select Barry Dunn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
All right.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
That takes us to agenda item 25, which is commissioners' liaison reports, and Commissioner Neighbor will start with you.
Yes, I did not have any committee meetings over the past 2 weeks, but it has been a very busy time out and about with activities of the county. I attended the Tri-County Community Action Board meeting. I attended a training session at the Capitol on home rule. Again, I think we need to look into every possible way to structure government that can be efficient as possible. That one's a heavy lift, and I'm just learning more about it. I attended the Envirothon, which was a blast. I was up there for about an hour and helped to give out some awards. But the team that won was the Aerosol Avengers from the Shippensburg High School. The second place team was the Green Guardians from Cumberland Valley. And
third place was the Awesome Omnivores from Big Spring. They, and the scoring was so tight. I think it was like a 1 point differential. So the Shippensburg team will represent Cumberland County on May 21st at the state competition in Windber, Pennsylvania. Commissioner Fasci and I attended the Tri-County Regional Planning Luncheon, where the Deputy Secretary of DCED provided a very insightful preview to their housing study and the crisis that is being experienced really across the state. So I'm looking forward to that full report being released soon. I attended Central Penn College dinner in support of their dental assistant program. Really meaningful workforce development happening at that school, and it's being really supported amazingly well by the dental community. So that's, I think, a public-private partnership that it takes to make these things happen.
Did you floss after?
I did. Thank you. I walked in the mental health awareness walk, and we all participated in the ceremony along with Representative Delosier. Commissioner Fasci and I were escorted to the fire site by two gentlemen in our public safety, Mike Snyder and Jason Frank, and we thank them for their patience with our 1,000,001 questions as we were driving through that site. DCNR had invited elected officials to be on site in coordination with a visit from the governor and Senator Ruthman. So it was really a pleasure to be there, to be able to thank everyone personally they were tired after putting in countless hours in that fight. Commissioner Fasci and I attended the intergovernmental meeting at Cumberland Valley High School, and I attended an Eagle Scout ceremony honoring Cumberland County's two newest Eagle Scouts, Brady Miller and Daniel Corbin. We've been a welcoming individuals to election school, and Commissioner Fasci and I attended the United Way Women United luncheon yesterday, I believe it was. And last evening, I attended the Silver Spring Open House and got to talk to the fire crews there as well. The only other two updates, again, I'm going to put in a plug for the Commission for Women's Child Care Town Hall on May 29th. And they're going to be a part, the gal that presented is going to be a part of that with their ECHO program. And again, looking for public-private partnerships to try and solve this issue of childcare. And certainly last but not least, there was a really exciting announcement yesterday that REC, which is a division of CADIC, received a grant, a PA Sites grant for, actually the grant was for $6.1 million and a loan of $4 million to aid in the demolition and cleanup of the Frog Switch site. So that is incredibly exciting, and it certainly would not have happened without collaboration from and support from a whole multitude of sources, and including our elected delegation and their support at the state level to help us bring those funds here is greatly appreciated. And now we hope it's enough to get it all cleaned up and become a really great project for that part of the town. So that is it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Well, the Conservation District had a successful tree seedling sale. I attended the 4-H regional speak out night and was one of the judges. And I've got to tell you, I love 4-H. I love the programs. I love how 4-H is preparing students for the world so that they know how to communicate. They know how to speak clearly. This one young guy came up to me while they were doing tallying, and he just had the greatest conversation with me. Asked me about what I do, what's my family like? I mean, it was really cool. It was very cool. They're all like that. And it's nice to see them. I've done this now for a couple of years. So it's the same students year after year. And it's just so nice to see how they're growing and really thriving. Harrisburg Area Transportation Study, we met. And so Harrisburg Area Transportation Study, first of all, has a beautiful interactive website. So I could tell you all kinds of things, but until you go out to that website and look at all of their interactive maps, I cannot do it justice. The Regional Active Transportation Plan is out there. Go look at it. You can see what's going to happen in this region into 2050. we had some action items. The action items are out there. And on every one of these regional transportation plan things, there's a project priority status. So you can go right in and get into, okay, what's going on with the Market Street Bridge, and where's the project at, and when is it going to start, and when is it projected to end, and how much is it going to cost? It's amazing. The project pipeline is out there. The projects in development are out there. So I would encourage everyone to go check that out. The local emergency planning committee met. Their summit is on Thursday, October 9th. The theme this year is Safer and Stronger Together. And the LEPC, our firefighters, our first responders, the people that answer 911, our police officers, they are all doing this tremendous work to keep us safe. And so much of it is done behind the scenes. And we have no idea what's going on. What a nice job they're doing. How competent, intelligent, thoughtful, knowledgeable they are. So the LEPC meeting that's a public meeting, and you can head to that if you want to check that out. What else did we do? What else did I do? Yes, the Cumberland Valley School District intergovernmental meeting. Commissioner Nieder and I attended that together. At that meeting, they go over the budget for Cumberland Valley School District. So they have done this almost every year that I have been here, heading in my 6th year, I think. They are consistent in their message. That school district is growing so quickly, and they have a funding issue. And I thought that they did a very nice job of discussing ways to solve that funding issue that would not affect the direct property taxpayer. I thought that they had approached it from a really thoughtful and informed place. I went to Sadler Health Center's fundraiser on Sunday. It was a Kentucky Derby fundraiser. It was so much fun. But Sadler Health Center is a federal health center. They have an office here in Carlisle. They have an office in Mechanicsburg. Anyone can use those health centers, anyone. And in Mechanicsburg, they have eye, they have dental. You can see a regular physician there. They have mental health care. So Sadler is such a gem in our community. We did election school, we did the Women United annual luncheon. Last night, I was here for the court-appointed special advocate swearing-in ceremony at the historic courthouse. That is always a very moving event. CASAs, they're called CASAs. They are volunteers, and they volunteer with children who have been abused, neglected, or abandoned and are in the foster care system. And they go through rigorous training, and then they are assigned to a child, and they represent that child's best interests to the court throughout whatever the term is that child is in the foster care system. They are amazing people. I got to speak with so many of them last night, and I'm so appreciative that they volunteer their time like that, because it is a tremendous commitment. And finally, I would remind you to use your local library. Thanks, Stacey.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay, just a handful of things. We have the Whiteboard is later today. I'll be there. Workforce Investment Board is tomorrow. I'll be there. As I noted, I'd spoken to Jesse last evening, and he reiterated his willingness. They come in last month. They released their annual report, and they love coming in to any of the counties that are interested in handling questions. The nature and mission that they have has been evolving a lot, mostly because of federal funding constraints and alterations. So that invitation is there. And
well, Gary, I would welcome that. And I think that's a good thing for us to get on the agenda to have Jesse come in.
So I was going to ask if that we do have open finance meetings coming up. We'll reach out to Jesse and schedule that.
That's good. Okay. Let's see. Okay. What they were with. I did get a couple of updates. Most of this is I think we're aware of, but it's MHIDD. Always make sure speak to those folks. Of course, Annie. I was very, very pleased with the successful MH awareness walk that was mentioned earlier. Had just phenomenal community involvement there. That was a terrific thing. The weather was not projected to be great, but it ended up being just a beautiful day. The turnout was very special. So, and I know that. event means a lot to the people who attend and participate in that. So that was just a great day. It was good to be a part of that. So let's see, Tuesday, May 6th. I didn't get an update on it yet, but that's the local. It does say, okay, the local stakeholders were part of the MH Advocacy Day at the Capitol. I didn't get any specifics on that, simply they participated. And he said that New Visions is also, who is our LTSR vendor, is ready to close on the purchase of 2 additional properties for licensed personal care home programs. And that's good news since the Keystone contractor terminated their contract with the mental health office. So some good news for once on the MH front. Mark over at IDD said a lot of community outreach going on. Staff participated in following events: the ARC of Cumberland Perry Caregiver Relaxation Workshop, the Eastern Cumberland Consortium Community Support Expo, Community Resource Night at Big Spring High School, and also doing provider training to the domestic violence shelter staff. We have board meeting next week. Mark says he's going to have more for us. So let's see, I talked about the WIB, check the calendar.
The Mark's one area that seems to be, dare I say, adequately funded in some respects for what the services they're able to expand.
I have to do this.
I know. The need's still there, but
Yes,
they're able to meet, they're able to meet it.
EI continues to challenge, of course, just because skyrocketing cases there since autism has now been accepted into that. And they continue to have challenges in getting children in for evaluations, frankly, so which are mandated entitlements, so essential to the developmental process so, at a young age. So I think everything else has been discussed. So that's it for me.
That takes us then to agenda item 26, which is report of executive sessions. And I would like to report that on April 29, 2025 at 9:45 a.m. and May 1st, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. There were executive sessions held regarding personnel. And now I'll ask if there is any other business to come before the board today. Hearing none and seeing none, we are adjourned.
Thanks.